Hello, we are Team 4. This is Video 1 revision, general description of Malaysia, India, Thailand, and Vietnam. When we begin with a brief geographic overview, we see that all four countries are in geographic proximity and all have access to seaports, leading to a significant ability for convenience and shipping, as well as a large opportunity. Additionally, when we review this area of the world, especially in comparison to the world at large, we see that there's a very high population density present throughout these four countries, leading to both great opportunities for manufacturing and for potential marketing. It's notable that all of these countries participate actively in trade and are engaged in multiple different organizations. We'll note that all the members are members of the World Trade Organization, as well as participate in the UN, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. Additionally, we see that India is a member of the G20 along with the US. And additionally, there are many local organizations, including Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, as well as the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, and ASEAN, or Association of Southeast Asian Nations, of which there are multiple participating nations. Of note, in ASEAN, there are 10 nations. This does not include India, but they are a dialogue partner, and the US is actively engaged in trade with all 10 countries currently. Reviewing each country individually, we start with Malaysia. Malaysia, we note to have a population of 32.126 million. We also note a median age of 30.5 years. And when we look at the population distribution, we see that there is a large segment of the population still entering into the workforce, which leads to significant opportunity on the manufacturing end. When we take a look about the geography specifically of Malaysia, as well as the infrastructure available, we see that it's an attractive country for many investors thanks to its modern society, habits, tastes, and its fairly high income and consumption. Additionally, it has significant opportunities when we look at the infrastructure. It's relatively well developed with roadways, seaports, and airports. However, one consideration is that the nation is geographically divided by the South China Sea, which could lead to an increased cost related to goods movements within the country. When we look at trade from Malaysia, we note that it operates with a positive trade balance, exporting more value than imports. And additionally, when we look at the distribution of both the types of things exported as well as the countries involved, we see that the main products that Malaysia exports to the US are integrated circuits, semiconductor devices, and broadcasting equipment, while the main products that the United States exported to Malaysia are also integrated circuits, aircraft parts, and machinery having individual functions. Of note, US is Malaysia's third largest exportation market after China and Singapore. Beyond the numbers, we see that US and Malaysia have a robust history of partnership and trade. The US has had a consular and commercial presence in the area comprising modern-day Malaysia since the 1800s. And in 1957, the US established official diplomatic relations, and the countries have elevated to a bilateral relationship to a comprehensive partnership in April 2014. And today, the US and Malaysia share a diverse, expanding partnership across many areas, including trade, climate, investment, security, and environmental cooperation. And the robust ties are seen throughout the economic aspects. Moving on to India, we note that India has a median age that is relatively young compared to other countries such as China and the US, and its young population will serve as a competitive advantage in the manufacturing and service sectors. It's also expected that India will then contribute to the global workforce as its age is younger compared to other countries. And probably most important to note is that the population of India is the largest in the world at the population of 1.429 billion, recently surpassing China as the most populated nation in the world. When we review India's infrastructure, we see that it's a quite developed infrastructure along with, as noted before, the high population density. So this strong developed infrastructure is comprised of national highway network and developed seaports. And this high population density that is consistently higher than the rest of the world offers great opportunities both for manufacturing as well as marketing. Looking at India's economic state, we see that it has a significant negative trade balance with far more imports than exports. It also has a significant interest with the US, as the US is India's largest trading partner and most important export market. The main products India exported to the US are packaged medicaments, diamonds, and broadcasting equipment. And the main products that the United States exports to India are crude petroleum, coal, and gas turbines. When we review the relationship between US and India, we see that there is a shared values that lead to this strategic partnership. The shared values include a commitment to democracy and upholding a rule-based international system. And they have shared interest in promoting global security, stability, and economic prosperity through trade, investment, and connectivity. There's a current 2+2 ministerial dialogue between the US Secretaries of State and Defense and the Indian counterparts, leading to significant cooperation across dozens of bilateral dialogues, working with groups for space and health cooperation, as well as energy and high technology trade. Our next country is Thailand. Now, notable for Thailand is that its median age is higher than the global average age, which is 30.5 years, with Thailand's being 40.1 years. Thailand is one of the oldest countries in Southeast Asia and second only to Singapore. Thailand has a developing economy, but with this aging population, the rate of development is expected to slow. When we look at Thailand's infrastructure, we note that it's developing a reflection of the population, with more infrastructure development occurring in areas of higher population density. However, as previously discussed, as the population is overall aging, the expectation for continued development is less so than it has been in the past. From a trade perspective, we note that Thailand operates with a positive trade balance, meaning that there are more exports than imports. And in particular of note is that the number one country of export is the US, comprising 17% of Thailand's exports. There is a significant trade that goes on between the US and Thailand, with main products Thailand exports to the US being office machine parts, broadcasting equipment, and semiconductor devices, while the main products the US exports to Thailand were crude petroleum, integrated circuits, as well as petroleum gas. The relationship between US and Thailand is a strong one, and they are allied for peace and prosperity. The alliance has benefits for both nations and supports peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific. The first documented contact between the US and Thailand was in 1818, followed by the first agreement signed with Thailand in 1833, the Treaty of Amity and Commerce. In 2003, the United States designated Thailand as a major non-NATO ally, and the US-Thailand Trade and Investment Framework Agreement was signed in 2002, and that provides a strategic framework and principles for dialogue and cooperation on trade and investment issues between the two countries. The fourth country is Vietnam. And when we look at Vietnam, we note that the median age is 32.9 years old. However, it is one of the world's fastest aging countries, with the estimation that the median age will reach 37.4 by 2035. Of note is this bimodal peak and distribution of the ages in Vietnam, which may lead to a variable amount of workforce readiness in terms of manufacturing environment. Looking at the infrastructure of Vietnam, we note it's a coastal country, and with that we have many seaports as well as a developed train line in addition to roadways, and it has proximity all along to the coast, and that's also where the population density is highest. From the trade perspective, we note that Vietnam operates with a positive trade balance, and the number one country it exports to is the United States. The main products the United States exports to Vietnam are broadcasting equipment, raw cotton, and integrated circuits, while the main products that Vietnam exported to the US were broadcasting equipment, computers, and other furniture. When we look at the relationship between US and Vietnam, we see that we've moved from foe to friend, and they've become trusted partners with a friendship grounded in mutual respect ever since the normalization of diplomatic relations in 1995. Relations have improved through the 2023 US-Vietnam Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, and most recently, the US has become a top trading partner with Vietnam, as noted, and the United States and Vietnam now have a strong trade and investment framework agreement, and they are aligned along textile, air, transport, customs, and maritime agreements. In summary, we see that the four nations, India, Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia, all have strengths as well as some weaknesses, but overall, all four have established trade economies, have a history of strong cooperation with the US, have generally favorable geography and developed and/or developing infrastructure, as well as a high population density, allowing therefore to be adequate workforce, thus leading to significant opportunities both in the manufacturing and marketing arenas.